Hello, everyone, and welcome to part 3 of the Look Finance SEQFC preview show with thanks to Vilic Law. It's the Gold Coast edition, and it's our grand final edition. We have got the main players in this weekend's events. We've got Brett Budwee from Palm Beach. How are you, Brett?
Good, boys. How you going?
Good. We've got Kirk Brebner from Surfers Paradise Apollo. Hello, Kirk.
G'day, lads. How are you?
Good. And we've got Mark Madge from Football Gold Coast. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Darren. How are you?
Very well. All right, before we get to this weekend's game, let's take a little rewind and check out last weekend's fixtures with the two semi-finals. Kirk, I'll get you to take us through your semi-final. It was a Saturday game, a 4-1 win over Robina.
Yeah, well, first of all, great occasion. I think a fair bit of the Gold Coast teams turned up to watch. We had 4 different clubs turn up on the day, so it was a good day, beautiful sunshine. Robina, Robina are a good side, very good side. They've beaten a lot of teams recently, a lot of the top teams recently, leading into the finals race. So we knew they'll be right up for it. The typical cagey sort of affair when we first started. I think we went up 1-0. Bruno scored a nice little tap in. Second goal, Bruno scored again, which is, you wouldn't really get a brace from him usually. Put the pressure right back on Robina. Both teams like to play a bit of football. Robina then sneak a little, I think the goal went straight in from a set piece from young Diego, to be fair. So 2-1 at half time, 2-1 as we always say, or 2-0 is always a score one you don't want to sort of hold on to too long. You want to get like another one because they can sneak too easily. And saying that, they come out second half, they hit the post early. Anything could happen at 2-2 then. But then our big players step up. Teddy, slots a nice little goal. And then Dylan Barwick down the left, as he does, slots another one over for Teddy again. We score 4-1, the game's over then. But to be fair, Robina, they battled all the way. Like you said, we knew they'd be good. But I think our momentum over the last couple of weeks just sort of took us through. The boys know what they have to do to sort of make a grand final, and they did. So, great occasion for everybody. Now it's on to this week.
And Mark, I saw your interview with Nathan Mulhern post-game. Robina would be thrilled with how they've gone this year.
I mean, for sure. When you're looking at the season, the first game, they lose 10-0 to Surfers, and to come to where they were, as Kirk said, they were a post-length away from making it 2-2 in a major semi-final. Well, a major semi-final there, with 30 minutes to go. So they'd be pretty happy with how they went. Obviously, their recruits that came in, they're generally going to, obviously, Nathan did say they're Lockie Roos, who's been instrumental, probably the best player on the park, not man of the match performance, but actual play-wise, one of the best players on the park out of those two teams. And the way he controlled the game, they'll lose him next year. So they've still got to work to do in the off-season. I don't think they're going to just stop and say, well, we made the top 4 now, we're happy. But overall, I mean, the season that they've had, they got the result that no one expected them to get. Their grand final was against Palm Beach. If you think about it, they needed to get that win, and they surprised everyone with that win. But they put up a fight, and they showed us why, they're a team to watch out for in the future, hopefully, if everything continues as it should.
And, of course, on Sunday, Palm Beach took on Coomera. Brett, take us through the game.
Look, it was a good game. There was an early red card, which sort of had a little bit of a bearing on it, obviously. At the same time as the guy got the red card, their captain come up and, challenged the decision sort of thing, and the referee put him in the sin bin. So at that stage, they had 9 on the pitch. So I think it was 1-1 at that stage.
You were
1-0
down at that stage.
1-0 down, was it? Okay, yeah. They got us on a long throw. We caught us out in a long throw early on. Enrique, quality finish there. But like I said in the after-match interview, I was pretty confident with the headspace of the boys, and that no matter what happened in that game, that we could overcome it and get the victory. The crowd support was unbelievable. they were singing the Palmy chant as we're walking out onto the field, which I haven't seen this year. The boys were up for it. Even the early goal didn't really have an effect on us mentally. We still kept playing, the way we wanted to play. And in the second half, we sort of, with the extra man, we just ran over the top of them. But it was a good game. It was a great crowd. Really, really good. It was our last home game for the year, obviously. But yeah, great occasion.
Mark, we saw a Facebook post today from Coomera coach Steve McDonald announcing that he's leaving the club. Tell us about the impact that he's had in his couple of years with the Colts.
Funny you mention that, because I was going to say a piece about that today. Obviously, Steve handed in his resignation Monday from Coomera. Didn't come to us. Those that know Steve quite well, have thought this was coming for a while. Anyway, this season, when he took over that team, he was coming from First Division, coaching Pacific Pines. He pushed Knights that 1 year in 2016 right to the end of the season. With, funny enough, Alex and Brett at Knights there that year. But since coming to Coomera, he took a team that was pretty much last. First year finished 6th. Put them up to 4th, put them up to 3rd. And each year they've been getting better and better and better and harder to play. Better defensively, better structure. You would go into those games knowing that you were up for a battle. They were always going to be physical, always going to be thinking. I think it was his mindset, really, that into the players. He's, from those that know him and those that hear his post-match interviews, he's actually quite a humble and down-to-earth guy. As in, he will put his, he will always say at the end of the day, his true feelings about if his side played well, if they didn't play well, and always give credit where credit's due. Crazy on the sideline. This year's mellowed out a little. Always very vocal on the sideline. And look, for him, not obviously it being off season, I will be very, very disappointed if he doesn't get a coaching job in the ones that are available left on the Gold Coast, because I do believe he deserves one and should be in one of those 10 seats for next season. If he doesn't get one, there will be opportunities for him, I'm sure, because I think everyone will be happy to work with Steve in the future, and the impact that he's had in that Coomera for 3 years has been something that's changed that club, I think, moving forward now, and the mindset that they might have in the future.
Yeah, I agree with that, Mark. Totally. I think he's brought consistency to that club. And you, like you said, you're in for a battle every single time, and congratulations to Steve for what he's done over the 3 years there. Hats off to him.
Despite all that, do you think Coomera will be satisfied with their year? Do you think they got par? Do you think they underperformed?
I look at that team and reverse 3 years ago, and before Steve took over, people forget a lot of those players were still there. Their captain, Mark Ingerson, was there. Will Asante was there. So a lot of these players that, have played Coomera for a long period of time, they were playing before Steve came in, finishing bottom. So if you look at the team, their aspirations obviously win the league. They were top of the league at the midway point in the year. I just think, if they had a Teddy Watson, if they had a Matt, but if anyone had those, so that's they would get goals. But that was one team that really lacked goal scoring. In that middle part when Enrique was injured, in that 6-game stretch, that's probably the most crucial time that they needed him. Early on, everyone's up for it. They'll fit. They're always going to be good in the early parts of the year. It's that middle stretch where it gets hard, it's tough, it's, late games, harder games that middle year. That's when they really needed him, but he was injured. So they lack goals. Overall, you look at their year, you have to be happy with that. I mean, one team went undefeated, and the second place who finished ahead of you finally, gave us what we all knew they could do, and this was their breakout year for the future. And this is a team that's going to, in Palm Beach, it's going to be together for hopefully numerous amounts of years and will win trophies in the future. So you have to look at it and be happy with everything. If I was Coomera.
Who knows? We may even see them in the NPL 3 next year.
That's the word.
Very, very quiet there, guys. All right, let's move on to this weekend's grand final. Mark, just set it up, the location, the time, and what else is on the day.
There is a time change from initially that it was at 7. It's now at 6, the game. So the game's going to be, they have earned the right to host. So you have 6 o'clock the kickoff, obviously at Lex Bell, and then the 3 o'clock game is Palm Beach versus Burleigh, which is 1 versus 2 as well. Both games should be fantastic there at Surface. So I know they have a lot planned. It should be a fantastic day. But I'll give my thoughts on the game after I let the two reps speak, I guess.
Any reason for the time change?
The clubs were wanting an earlier kickoff, I believe, to 6. I think
it was more. Mark, it was more of an earlier finish.
Earlier finish. That's yeah. So just because obviously there might be noise issues at Surface, and
if it goes to extra time and then penalties, the 7 o'clock kickoff, you could potentially finish at 10 p.m.
Yeah.
And the kids don't really want to be out at that time of night. So.
But yeah, so essentially that's the thing.
You're home before 10 o'clock there, mate.
Yeah, well, the EPL, what time does the EPL start that night?
EPL this week, mate. International week.
Oh, well, there you go. We can go to midnight then.
All right, Kirk, take us through the game. How are you going to win it?
Okay, I'll go with the occasion first. So, obviously, first time we've held the grand final since 2002, a couple of years before I joined the club. Funnily enough, it was against Palm Beach in 2002. We got the chocolate Saturday, and that was for the double. So we're actually having a reunion for all the old boys to come down. A lot of them are still on the coast, so I'll put the feelers out this week, chasing them. So in the clubhouse, just near the end of the reserve grade game, we're going to have a bit of a get-together there. We've invited some of the Palm Beach, or any of the Palm Beach players that will playing in that game as well. And, of course, anyone that played in the eras since then or before then, just to get the old boys down there to help celebrate. The game itself, listen, that's Palmy Surface. Both games have been a draw this year. So, as Brett would know, he knows Alex. Alex knows him. Both teams know each other very well. I think, talking more against Palmy, I think their back line's got to be right up for it today. I think our front line, especially Teddy's been on fire lately. So they've got to be really strong there. We've got a squad that's been playing together now, like this, consistently the same team over the last couple of weeks, which is always handy going in. I think our strength is going to be, if we can put the pressure on them early. They're young kids, but they're good kids. That's Palm Beach I'm talking about. So if we can put the pressure on them early, hopefully a couple of early goals, and then we just sort of see how the game goes from there. We've got quality across the park everywhere, and if boys want to be a successful team and to be known as a team, like the 2000 team were, they've got to stand up on Saturday. They have to stamp the authority. You don't want to go all season and lose one game and it be the last game of the season. Whatever you do, you win your first game of the season and you win your last game of the season. That's a no-brainer in football. We all know that. So the boys right up for it. They'll have a big session tonight. They had they went out for dinner on Tuesday night. They enjoyed themselves and sort of got together, and now it's all set for the grand final. We're looking forward to the game beforehand. Palm Beach against Burleigh. The Palmy Army will be down there from 3 o'clock. A couple of bus loads we're here. So we're really looking forward to both sort of the Hill and their support going at each other, which is good. That's what we want for the grand final. We want that bit of banter. Not to go too far, obviously, but we want that bit of banter between both sets of fans. I think we're just looking forward to it. I think the boys are looking forward to it. They will sort of, I won't say too much more because I don't want to give too much away to Brett.
I'm just taking notes now, so it's all right.
It's all right. I've got my pen and paper. Away, mate.
Good one.
Kirk, did I see in one of your posts during the week that your coach, Alex Morrison, actually played in that grand final?
Yes, so Alex, I think that was his first year when he came from Canada. He came over and it was his first year playing. So he was vice captain. Testing my maths now, so he would have been early 20s. Yeah, early 20s. So he played in that. So that's a bit of an occasion too. So a lot of the boys that are coming down to watch and have that reunion obviously know Alex. Alex will pop in for a bit, but he's got more to think about obviously on the day itself. But it's certainly a bit of nostalgia there when it comes to your coach played in that game. And I think some of the players that played in the game are actually at Palm Beach now in some sort of capacity. So they might be wearing a Palm Beach shirt at 6 o'clock, maybe a Surface shirt at 4:30.
All right, Brett, let's go to you now. How are you going to approach this game?
Look, I think as far as the occasion, like Kurt started with, it's a big day for Palm Beach Soccer Club to have both teams in the grand final. From where we've been in recent years, it's a great achievement for us. But we realistically, both teams, we're up for the grand final this week. We're the only club that's got both teams training this week, which I mentioned to the boys on Tuesday. We played Sunday, so we've got one less day recovery. We had a light session Tuesday just on field one. All the boys were good. There's no injuries or nothing. So we'll go through a few things tonight. Obviously, as Kurt said, like Teddy Watson is one of our main priorities that we'll be working on, and their front three. Actually, Hayden Sumner's a bit underrated, I believe. But I think there's some good matchups all over the park. Sam King and Ethan Taus, or whatever his name is. On the other side, there's Buddha and Squiddy. So there's good one-on-one matchups all over the park. And to be honest with you, I think it's going to be one of the best grand finals in recent history. The occasion and the game. When we played Surface in the last round, we're a little bit cagey. We're a little bit scared. If we lost that game, we're out of the title race. But this weekend, we're going full bore. There's no holding back. I've got 4 fresh subs that are all quality NPL players or Premier League players. So if I have to bring them on to change the game or influence the game, I've got that firepower, as do Surface. So I reckon it's going to be a cracker of a game. I can't wait.
And you're taking 2 buses worth?
Yeah, two supporters buses, and then there's a couple other mini vans going up as well, I think. And mate, we're trying to treat it like a home game, but obviously, we got good support. The kids were there. We're walking out with the players, as will the Surface kids. So I'm really looking forward to the day. It's going to be really good.
Kirk, will there be any social media posts during the week with a shark in a tutu?
Let's just wait and see till tomorrow. We've got a lot of.
All right, Mark. Let's bring you in. Let's bring you in here, Mark. What's your assessment of the game?
Both Kirk and Brett obviously summed it up there. Both teams deserve to be there. Both teams have had fantastic years, and both teams have quality all over the pitch. In a grand final, usually you'd say it's going to be cagey. I hope in their last meeting, as Brett said, the first 2.5 minutes, it was 1-1. And I thought we're going to be in for a game here of 1 versus 2. And then there was nothing for the rest of the game. I just have a feeling that this one's going to be a bit more open and a bit more attacking-wise. All the emphasis will obviously be on Teddy Watson for Surface, right? So he leads the league in goals, leads the league in assists, up there in Player of the Year voting, which will be announced shortly. Everyone knows what threat he has, but it's actually the other players around him that I think will make the difference. You're going to get a good performance from Teddy. You're going to get that. As does Brett know, he's going to get Dan Smith's his captain as well. He's going to have a good performance. He knows his midfield's going to play well. It's the other people, that extra 5-10% that they might give you to get you over the line. So one player that hasn't been mentioned in the past couple of weeks in most circles, I know Surface no, but is, for example, Bruno, their captain, Bruno Rodriguez. The past 2 games, this stretch, he's probably been the best player for Surface in 2 games straight, not only in the semi, but also in the last game of the season. If he can have one more, obviously not for Brett's sake, but if he has one more solid game, if other people pull their weight per se and might make a difference, that's going to be the be-all and end-all. Same as Sam King, a player that last year was in and out of the rain, didn't really play his best football, comes to Palm Beach and has excelled in that performance, capped off with a hat-trick in a semi-final to get them there. So it's those role players, I'll use that word loosely, those players other than the main people that everyone talks about that are going to make the difference. For both sides, it's pretty evident that, in my opinion, Surfaces, other than their regulars, it's actually Tomo, the Japanese player, that might make the difference in this game. He's played a lot of finals. He's played with Broadbeach when they've won a lot of things. I think he might be the key piece for them in this game because of the whole Teddy Watson emphasis that any team would have. But Palm Beach have 2 fantastic centre-backs that can both equally cover him at any point. And then for Brett, obviously Dan Smith, Sam Kings, but it's actually Josh Squires. He's their top scorer this year. A lot of people don't forget that he scored more goals than anyone else in that team. And a lot of those Palm Beach fans are his close friends. It's all for him. So those are the two players I'm going for that are going to be the key differences in this final. And, let the best team win on the day, I say. I'd love to see extra time and penalties. Why not?
Oh, I knew you were going to tip penalties.
No.
Love a penalty shootout.
Can I just say on that, though, I also think both keepers have to be right up to this week. I mean, your keeper last game, Brett, was outstanding, I thought. So, it's all eyes on them sometimes. So
anyone that watched the highlights or was at the Surface semi-final game, my tip of their keeper playing fantastic. I'll just pat myself on the back on that one because I think he was fantastic again, even though he conceded 4, but he was fantastic.
All right. What's the culture on the Gold Coast regarding grand finals versus the premiership? Is this the old, the big game that everyone plays for, or is it all about the league?
For me, it's about the league. I consider that higher, but in Australia, obviously the grand final is the pinnacle of the season. It's the last day of the year. So the occasion is what you want to be part of. It's my first Premier League grand final. I've always gone to it and watched with envy, sort of thing. So, occasion-wise, obviously the grand final, but I think the purist will probably say it's the league that counts the most.
I would agree with you, Brett. I think a lot of the players obviously concentrate on the league and getting that first, and you've got a lot of expats who obviously, it's all about the league. But I think as you get close, and especially when they walk onto the park on the day, it's the biggest supported game of the year. So that's when it becomes the grand final, But I think the league itself is the big thing. But yeah, like these last couple of weeks, it's all about grand finals now. So
the best comment I ever got about that was, I think it was Philo in a post-match interview last year. He said to me, we won the league, so the league's the most important thing. But if I finish second, the grand final is the most important thing for me this year. And I think that pretty much sums up the Gold Coast obviously he was joking with that comment, but I think that pretty much summed it up here. I mean, if you ask majority of the people in the crowd, I'm sure they'd actually say grand final, to be honest. You'd find a lot of people that would say league, but a lot would say grand final because we put so much emphasis on it in Australia. So,
just on the grand final, Mark, I know that Surface won the league, so it's obviously at their ground. It would be good in future if the local government or councils or whatever would allow us to use Skill Park for the showpiece of the, charge people $10 to get in and Surface get that money for winning the league or whatever. I just think that, I don't know whether the rugby league play their grand final there. I think they do. For me, it's just a little bit disappointing that Skill Park is sitting over there. There's no one there on that day. And, we're having to use a local park, a local football ground for the showpiece. It would have been much better at Skill Park. And like I say, Surface could have got the whole gate and everything. That would have been their reward. I just think it would have been better at, I don't know how that all works, but it's a bit disappointing.
Football Gold Coast did speak about that previous years, not this year, but in the past, to hold it and a grand final there. A couple of things automatically got not roadblock, but made it much more difficult. Obviously, the cost of hiring the venue. Second part, is the amount of security and the amount of roadblocks and all the rest of it that you would need for a certain amount of people. Food vendors, the associated cost to actually hold a game at Skilled is actually CBUS is actually quite high. I agree with you. If the local council would look at a way of how do we do it, but this just This just proves the need for a boutique style stadium though that can fit 5,000, because if you had a little rectangular 5,000 seat stadium, 28,000 CBUS, we'd occupy one stand, and I think for the players it'd be more fantastic than anyone. Obviously being on the field, but I'm sure you'll agree here, Brett and Kirk. Those suburban, the local grand finals sometimes give that little bit of extra, not oomph, but extra feel to it. You know, it's close. Everything's close to each other. Like to walk around the pitch, it takes you 2 seconds rather than walking all the way around. So, look, to be fair, the best ground to actually host a final in our local league would actually probably be Palm Beach. I wouldn't say just because of how it would all be set out. But Surfers will do a fantastic job. I know they will. I know they're all committed to it. But yeah, it's something in the future that hopefully we can look at. Hopefully, if a smaller stadium gets built somewhere, hopefully Hoban Football Gold Coast, if that eventually comes to fruition at Emerald Lakes, we might see a grand final there.
Let's be honest, though. I don't think the Palm Beach Palmy Army would last in Skilled Park, would they, Brett?
No, probably not, mate.
The
They'd be turfed out by half time.
We wouldn't even get through the gate, butters.
True.
What can you ask for, though? Lex Bell Oval, Q1 in the background. You've got clubs far away. Best spot in the Gold Coast to watch football.
And only 2 minutes from my house, so that's good.
Perhaps Gold Coast Knights or Gold Coast United could see an opportunity there and perhaps develop their ground as a potential venue.
We've hosted three straight finals at Gold Coast Knights. So 17, 18, 19 was held at Gold Coast Knights. One of the big reasons going back to the local grounds was the fact that there was no prize money this year. So we followed NPL suits with no prize money in the other leagues above us. Where Football Gold Coast, we actually had prize money compared to everyone else, but that's another discussion. And we decided to give it to the team that won the league as a reward for their efforts this year, which it used to be. And I think, I can't remember the last time a team who won the league and hosted the final actually played in the final. I think it might have been 2014 Broadbeach, if my memory's... Knights 2017. But the venue was already pre-decided. And then a couple of other teams, 2016 Broadbeach Surfers played in that final, but they didn't play in it. So even if you go back in 2013, we had Murwillumbah win the league undefeated, didn't make the final. Merrimack win the league undefeated, didn't make the final. So for the record books, for those that love history, I did a bit of research back in and spoke to a few people. If Surfers were to win this game, the last time a team went undefeated through a whole season and won the grand final as well was 1982. So teams that have won undefeated, they might have won the double, but they lost the major semi or they lost another game in between in a cup or something like that. Seeing we didn't have any cups, seeing that Surfers won their FFA Cups and all the rest of it, they'd qualify for that period. So that just probably riles up Butters even more to make that not happen. So you can't give Alex any piece of history or else he'll hold on to it forever.
Just on that, though, just going through the old stuff you've been talking about, seeing some of the photos, they've got the old trophies, the old, I wouldn't say medals, but the old plaques and that. Yeah. Are they still around?
The big perpetual that I think you're talking about is somewhere in storage. It's full. It's full. They've actually, and we actually have another one. You'll jog my memory. I'll have to actually go and find where that is. We have a perpetual trophy that stays here. I've got to find it. Good call, Kirky. That's the grand final shield. That's heavier than me.
Got all the other clubs down the bottom. Who's won? And I think there's two. There's two style about there. I'm not sure, in the photos.
I think one's a league and one's a grand final.
Okay.
At least we don't give a small little trophy for grand final or league champions like certain other divisions around Australia. We give a proper Champions League style league. You know, I'm just going to give us a bit more props there, Darren. Sorry.
Who won the league this year? Sorry. Yeah, sorry. Forgot.
Yeah,
all right. Mark, this is the moment where we get you to stick your neck out. It's going to a penalty shootout. Which way is it going?
Surface on a shootout, I'd say. Surface on a shootout. And just.
Have you seen us take penalties?
To be honest, the penalty taker he's going to hate me saying this, has missed 3 or 4 pens anyway this year. So, maybe Alex doesn't want to even go to pens. Who knows?
I don't want pens.
Pens the best way to win, worst way to lose. You were part of probably the last shootout you were in the final was probably with me, Butters, in 2012 as a coach.
When that's your claim to fame, Mark, that one, the winning penalty kick, huh?
I don't understand anymore.
What a day.
Will the game be live streamed?
No. Yeah. A lot of issues surrounding live streaming. One, cost. I know it's a grand final. Two, connection. Where we film from at Surface is we don't actually film from the center of the field because there's actually no way to film from the center unless you go in between the two dugouts. Power. So our grounds aren't really, not just Surface, but a lot of grounds around the Gold Coast aren't equipped with all the resources you'd need for live stream. You'd have to run a lot of cords to the clubhouse. Internet connection is an issue as well. Fixed internet, and you can imagine the amount of people we're going to have there. Running mats all over the place will just be a nightmare. So we go out and support your local clubs and your local community and buy some drinks and buy some food and spend some money and enjoy the atmosphere rather than sit at home on your couch with cold beer. That's what I got to say.
I bet Skilled Stadium would have all those facilities, right, Brett?
Yes, exactly.
$10.20 as well. It's $8 for a bottle of milk.
And our beer's cheaper.
All right, that's the show for today, guys. I might just give you the floor one last piece before we wrap it all up. Kirk, would you like to say a thank you or just encourage your team?
Okay, first of all, best of luck to Brett and to Palm Beach in both grades and to Burleigh to get that over and done with. Also, to all the supporters out there, get down Lexbell Saturday. It's going to be one cracking afternoon. To our boys, if you're listening, if you want to be known as that team for 2020, the COVID team, make sure that we get a win on Saturday. Yeah, that's about it.
Brett?
For me, mate, I'm glad it's the top two teams in both divisions that made the grand final this year. And, Surface going through undefeated, it's a big scout for us to try and knock over. So, I encourage everyone to get down to the game. I think it's going to be one of the best games for a long, long time. As far as this show, Darren, thanks for doing this sort of stuff for the Gold Coast. You know what I mean? It's really good. In my opinion, we've lacked a bit of this from the local media. So this show and you putting this show on is really good, and it's boosted the profile of the local league. So good job, mate.
Thank you. Mark?
Obviously, again, I'll start the same with what Brett said. Thank you for you, Darren, for putting this all together. It's been fantastic. And thank you to everyone who listens. I know it's not easy sometimes to listen to all of our guests. I know I can drag on and it might not be interesting, but thank you all for still listening each and every week. That's the most important part. To the two teams, obviously, fantastic years. Two fantastic coaches, personal friends of mine for years that I've known. They're two of the coaches, I think, moving forward. I've had this discussion with multiple people. They're the modern day future coaches that relate to the younger generation, that have adapted to the change in the way the players think and all the rest of it. So congratulations to them and their players for getting here to the final day. And whatever happens from here, I'm sure both will smile, even though they might not feel like that inside. They'll both congratulate one another, and they'll both sit down after and talk about the game and how those players made a mistake and cost them the grand final at the end of the day. Both with a smile on their face, though, and ready to compete not only for next year, but hopefully many years to come. And also, just lastly, a massive thank you and in advance to obviously Surface, Telly, Vera, Kirk, Aussie, all the team down there for what they're going to be doing in the grand final. It's not an easy thing to organise for anyone, no matter how many people you have. And obviously Surface not having the abundance of volunteers that some of our other clubs have, what they've done so far in the week leading in. I won't say 110% because I haven't seen it all yet, but from tomorrow when we go down, I'm sure it'll be ready to go. So big thank you to them.
Appreciate that, mate. We appreciate that. I think Football Gold Coast can be thanked too. They're going to help out in the day. Like you said, we haven't got that many volunteers. We're not a massive club, so appreciate that. And also to you, Darren, before we go, thank to the sponsors that help you for doing this, especially our sponsors, Finn McCaws and Cavill, that have come on board lately to yourself. So the after party back there, regardless of who wins.
Excellent. All right. Well, I'd just like to thank everyone who's participated on these shows. They get their messages from me. Come on the show. With the Gold Coast show, there's been no problems getting anyone interested or encouraging them to be on the show. The enthusiasm has been fantastic and infectious, and I've loved putting this show together. We'll be back next year for sure. And thank you to everyone who's watchers out there. Considering this show only focuses on 2 competitions, it's our number 1 show. It's the most watched out of all the other leagues that we do with the 4 other shows. So thank you to everyone out there. That's the show. Enjoy the weekend. Good luck to both teams. This has been the Look Finance SEQFC preview show with thanks to Vilic Law. We will hopefully see you next year. Bye-bye.
Perfect.